Sports community has giant breaking news. The UFC has just signed a new media rights agreement with Paramount and CBS, and it will begin in 2026. And with this new deal, the UFC will fully eliminate, supposedly will fully eliminate the pay-per-view model as we know it. So no more spending $20 a month on the horrible ESPN Plus platform and also spending another $80 just to watch the pay-per-views. We're going to get into all the news and all the breaking news, the news and the breaking news, the breaking news and the news, and we'll be discussing what this means for the future of the UFC as a whole and why I think, honestly, this deal will end up being bad for the sport in total. But, of course, I'm hoping, as a huge fan of the sport, that it will not be bad for the sport. But I have a bad feeling about this, and we're going to get into why I think that and some of my predictions of what will come out of this new media rights agreement. Now, starting off, this deal is massive. The 7-year term of the media rights agreement is worth $1.1 billion. Now, if we compare that to where we were at with the Fox deal, and now the Fox deal was just with the fight nights. It was a 7-year deal for $840 million. And then you compare that to the 2019 to the 2025 ESPN/ABC deal, even though they hardly ever used ABC, it was worth up to $2.1 billion with $300 million a year. Comparing that to what will be $1 billion a year. So the average annual value will increase by $700 million. And that is massive for the company in general. However, there is a lot of different things we're about to get into and talk about of why this could be bad for the sport in general. Now, I just wanted to quickly touch on some things in this release here by Paramount and TKO and UFC. And before we do that, I would like to apologize for the 2-week hiatus for the, maybe 2 or 3 people who have watched all my videos. I doubt I really have anybody that cares. But the sport was kind of dry. The Fight Night Apex cards were actually half decent these past 2 weeks, and I was being lazy, and I was being lazy, so I didn't post any videos. But we're back. I'm going to try to post at least 5 videos this week leading up to the pay-per-view, the huge pay-per-view we have this weekend. But for this video, we're going to focus on this new media rights agreement between Paramount and the UFC. Now, right here it states, I wanted to get into this, starting in 2026, every year there will be 13 marquee numbered events, what we would used to call the pay-per-view events, but we've had a few that weren't pay-per-view. I remember the Blachowicz and Teixeira, which was a great card. We had that great fight with Sandhagen and Piotr Jan. That was, as long as you had ESPN Plus, you could watch that. You didn't have to buy that. However, it was still a numbered event. But, so they're planning on doing 13 numbered events a year and 30 fight nights. And that's about that's going to be about 2.5 fight nights per month. Now, it's probably about the same pace they've been on lately, which has caused a lot of watered-down cards. And I'm afraid with this huge deal, the fact it's being $1 billion a year, 7.7 in total, we're going to see even more watered-down cards due to the fact that they will not have to worry about pay-per-view sales anymore. And they are just going to focus on getting the product out, which is what has been a bad thing for the UFC lately. And it's actually very disappointing. I'll get into some of the opinions I have about that with this upcoming card in a later video. But maybe it stays kind of the same with how they've been matchmaking and stuff. Or hopefully this new deal will, light a fire under Dana. And we can actually get some better cards because we've had good cards, and we're calling some of these, they're good cards, but 5 years ago we would not be calling them stacked cards, and we have been calling good cards stacked cards due to the fact that the matchmaking has been so atrocious and the fact that we don't get these big blockbuster pay-per-views like we used to. And I do think that is going to be a negative effect of this. I have a feeling that it may get even worse with this new TV deal, considering that they're not going to be looking at those pay-per-view sales. And when we get into a number event, I think the first one will be UFC 324. Man, we could have a mid-fight night card with a decent co-main event and a good main event. And those being a championship fighter, just a good, a big matchmaking or big entertaining fight in that co-main event slot. And we could end up having under par, prelims and main card openers. And I have a feeling that's what they're going to do to us, and I'm not excited about it. However, this is a big win for the fans due to the fact that I think the Paramount, the premium subscription is $13 a month, and I think you can even get a subscription for $8 a month, which is a big win for the fans considering you were paying $85 a month on top of $21 a month for the ESPN Plus subscription in general, and the ESPN Plus platform and firmware and the UI and the technology behind it was horrible. There were so many issues with lagging, so many issues with people buying the pay-per-view and not even be able to access it. So hopefully this will cut some of that nonsense out, because it's absolutely horrible that you buy an $85 card and you can't watch what you paid for. That happened to me, I don't know, every other pay-per-view, and I think I missed the first fight one time over this issue, and it's absolutely disgusting that they never did anything to fix it either. It still happens all the time. It's absolutely pathetic by this organization, the UFC, and what we used to have. I'm just really worked up about what this company's doing with the sport, and it's such a shame, honestly, with the matchmaking we're seeing, with the recent Charles Oliveira-Rafael Fiziev fight announced. That's great, maybe get Charles a win, but man, I don't know. And then matchmaking, but that's not what this video is about. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here. No, not really. This is just some quotes and stuff, but I wanted to hit on that 13 numbered cards a year and 30 fight nights. So I think we're going to still be seeing some diluted cards and bad and poor matchmaking just to get a product out there to meet the media rights agreement, and especially when they're not having to worry about pay-per-view sales in total. I'm afraid our pay-per-views are going to get even worse, guys. Chat. I'm afraid the pay-per-views are going to get even worse. And if that happens, at least, I guess we're not paying for them, but still, what's so awesome about this sport is when those numbered events / pay-per-views have rolled around, it's like a mini Super Bowl every month, and that's what's so electrifying about the sport of MMA and what the UFC has done in the past. In these past 4 or 5 years, man, it's just gotten worse and dropped off a cliff. So I'm hoping maybe this lights a fire under Dana and the UFC and TKO and all that, and maybe we'll get some better product put out there. But man, I do see this going bad for us fans, and I'm not excited for it. I was excited to, finally hear the new TV deal, but I am very, very worried about that. And where we're going. Yeah, we went over this. Next, I wanted to react to this little bit of a snippet. Oh no, wait. Gosh dang it. I'm just going to play it off here.
What can you tell us about how much the UFC will be on CBS, linear TV?
Okay, and Dana's about to talk about how it's going to look.
We're going to do 4 big events a year, and we're talking about.
So this is what worries me with him saying that 4 big events a year, and he's referring to those being aired on the CBS TV channel. And I am worried about that because it could be that we're still going to get these numbered events that are slightly better than fight night cards. However, we're just going to have 4 big pay-per-views a year. And, if those pay-per-views are giant and they still do solid on the numbered events, I can live with that. But I'm afraid we're going to see really poor matchmaking and thrown together cards outside of those 4 marquee events. And like I said previously, I'm just afraid we're going to get more watered down cards. But, on the flip side, man, if we got for sure 4 giant events, hopefully I get the whole Dana not wanting to be in stadiums for the audience viewing and the camera angles and all that. But that is big. That is a spectacle. And that's what this sport is about, is entertainment. It's the modern day Roman Coliseum. And the people need fights. We need big fights. We need big names. We need better promotion. And hopefully with this new deal, maybe there's some stuff in the contract between Paramount and the UFC that maybe we'll see some better promoting. We'll see some face-to-faces. Maybe we won't see subpar. The press conferences lately have been horrible, and it's just such a shame that Dana was a brilliant promoter, was a brilliant businessman. Still is a brilliant businessman. The fact that the sport honestly has, I would say, in popularity probably hasn't declined, but you're losing a hardcore base. Kind of like what Trump's doing right now. They've been losing their base. The strict like Nina Drama, Nelk Boys, like social media production, him just in front of the map and on Instagram announcing fights. Hopefully, maybe there's some wordage in the contracts. This is me being optimistic. I doubt it, highly doubt it. But hopefully we'll see some better promotion and just better overall matchmaking within the UFC. Hopefully this deal can provide some of that for us fans, man.
Doing a fight at the White House next year on the 4th of July.
That's big that he's still saying this.
Anniversary of America. So imagine a massive fight on the lawn of the White House on CBS.
Now, I do like that. The fact that a massive card like that will be broadcasted on like the CBS channel. I think that's so huge, getting more fans and making the sport more of a spectacle. However, also with that, I have a hard time believing that, say, like just for example, or like just a big card in general with just awesome fights on it, or, they get Conor on it or they get John Jones on it. I honestly don't really want to see either of them on the White House card, or I'm fine with never seeing them in the UFC again. But with big cards like that and putting these superstars in optimal eyeballs, optimal positions to perform, and maybe with some better promoting, I have a hard time they're just going to be doing that for you paying the Paramount Plus subscription fee and watching on CBS. Maybe the deal is big enough and they're going to meet their margins and their quotas and all that, all the business. However, I have a hard time they're actually just going to go away from having big cards without you having to pay a little extra to see these cards. But, it is a big deal that I'm spending $85 a month. I'm spending $85 a month. I paid $85 to pretty much watch JDM and Bilal Muhammad. That was it. And they're not even big names. I do like that, and hopefully the deal works out to where we see better promotion and better matchmaking. But just with how Dana and the crew has been doing it lately, I don't have full faith that we will see anything new and anything better. And now, first of all, I hate Jake Paul. He's an annoying little brat. I highly doubt anybody watching this is a fan of Jake. However, I do think this is a good point to make. He says every fighter in the UFC now has a clear picture of what the revenue is. No more pay-per-view excuses. Get you your worth, boys and girls. The only thing I have a problem with this and such is most of the top guys fight one time a year, and these top-ranked guys refuse matchups. So this whole increased fighter pay stuff, why should you pay? They're your employees. Why should you pay them more when they don't even want to do their job half the time? There's so many top-ranked guys declining top-ranked fights against what they may see as a tough opponent. They just want pushovers. We have guys like Armin, who's set out for over a year at this point off a split decision win, thinks he should get a title shot. We have Justin Gaethje saying he's going to retire if he doesn't get the next title shot, which is even more understanding than the whole Armin situation, because at least Justin did him a favor. Armin missed weight. I'm worried about the deal in general, and I'm hoping we see better matchmaking, hoping we see better cards. But however, with $1 billion per year, that's locked in. That's the contract. I don't see them looking to promote any harder. I don't see them looking to focus on matchmaking or card building in general. Like this weekend, we have a co-main event with Eric Pico and Lerone Murphy. Have that on the pay-per-view main card. I'm not saying that it necessarily shouldn't. I really don't think it should, honestly, because no one really likes Lerone, and nobody watched Bellator. Nobody really cares that much about Pico unless he wins. And that's your co-main event. That's just showing the lack of respect that the UFC is showing the fans, that this is your big co-main event, Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico. Come on, guys. But like I said, I'm hoping for the best out of this situation and this new deal. And guys, I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. and breaking down this new deal and what it means for the UFC's future. I hope you guys like and subscribe. I'm hoping these videos are enjoyable. And I'm sorry for not posting the past couple weeks. I got lazy, like I said. I was a little worn out from some other stuff. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about the deal and the UFC's future in general in the comments below. And until next time.